Yeah.
camera in my face or anything.
Yeah. I wanted everybody in the shots. But I didn't get a pen. I'll be right back.
So what year are you?
I'm a junior.
Okay. I meant to ask him, what class is this for?
This is for traffic engineering.
Okay.
You can sit closer than that. Come on, the picture angle's not that wide.
Okay.
Can you see her yet?
Yeah, she's it.
Okay.
Is this just rolling record?
Yeah, it's because I've downloaded some video editing software and play with it. It's super cool when you do it. If you've not ever done it, it's super fun.
What's it called?
Windows Movie Maker.
Oh, okay.
All right, Wes. Wes McLeese. Who do you work for?
Work for a private consulting firm called Gresham Smith and Partners, and it's actually a multidisciplinary firm. It's architecture. It started off as an architecture firm, and they've added transportation engineering. They've got some industrial engineering, a lot of land planning type
Okay.
work, and some interior designers. They're based out of Nashville.
Okay, they're based out of, but they've got a branch down here.
We've got an office here. We've got offices in Alabama, Florida, Georgia,
Okay, it's a big firm then.
Kentucky. Yeah, there's 600 or 700 total employees.
Okay. How many engineers here in the Jackson area?
Probably. Well, if you ask me to count, I'd have to give you a direct number, but probably 10.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. Just all across all the fields.
Yes.
So your location doesn't specialize in anything?
Well, we're transportation only.
Okay.
We don't have any interior designers or architects, and our office is actually kind of split. About half of the people in our office are ITS kind of focused, intelligent transportation systems.
Okay.
Another half are sort of roadway design.
Okay.
So intelligent transportation systems is I don't know enough about it to really give you a good definition, but it has to do with notifying drivers and motorists of the delays up ahead.
Okay, so that has a lot to do with the signage,
Smart work zones and video streaming of the cameras,
Okay.
Monitoring the interstate type stuff.
We went over that just a little bit in class, remember?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. And so where did you go to school?
I went to school at Mississippi State.
Okay. And you did their civil engineering program?
Civil engineering, got my bachelor's degree in civil engineering, and actually went back once I was working full time here in Central Mississippi. I went back and got an MBA online in project management.
Okay.
So
Do you have your FE?
I did.
Okay. Did you eventually get your PE?
I did.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. What got you into engineering? What made you want to go to that field?
Well, my dad is a civil engineer.
Okay.
He worked at the Corps of Engineers, the Waterways Experience Station, is what it used to be called in Vicksburg,
Mm-hmm.
for his whole career. And so I would see him get up and go to work as a civil engineer and come home in the afternoon. And I'd entertained the idea of a couple of other occupations, but I was always good at math. Math came easy to me, and it's just sort of what I gravitated towards. I enjoyed the sciences and physics in college, and I like figuring out how things work.
So I always call it, like everybody at school calls it ERDIC. Is that?
Yeah, that's what it's called now.
Yeah. My grandfather retired from there when it was still Waterways, and you probably know about the Mississippi River model over at Butts Park.
Yes.
Yeah, he helped build that back in the 50s and 60s when they were doing that. So my grandfather was a civil engineer. When you graduated from college and got your FE, where did you go to work?
Started working for a consulting firm. Actually, an office in Canton at the time. Wilford Gearhart and Knight was the name of the
Okay.
firm I worked for, and I worked in Canton for about 6 years, and then transferred to the Clinton office, and I worked there probably another 6 years.
Okay, is there still a Clinton office?
There it is.
Is that the one downtown Clinton?
Yeah, it's on the brick streets.
Yeah, okay. I talked to one of the guys that works there. I don't remember his name. Skinny older fellow that likes to run.
Greg Gearhart.
Yeah. He was real nice. He came running by the house one day and we talked.
Yeah.
Okay. And so do you practice civil engineering, or are you a project manager? Is that,
I do transportation design right now.
okay.
So,
Okay, do you have a current project you're working on you can tell us about?
I don't know that I'm really supposed to talk about the current projects I'm working on.
I kind of thought that it might be the case in that.
The way we do work right now, we do the design plans, and our firm currently isn't involved in the construction side of it.
Okay.
So I don't know if I should be talking about things that are under design right
Perfectly all right. What about maybe a project that you have done that is local?
now. Yes. Well, I've been at Gresham Smith for about 3 years this month, I think. And one of the last projects I worked on at my previous firm, I did a lot of design work on the Hampstead Boulevard extension here in Clinton.
Okay, I do not know what that is.
You know where Morrison Heights Church
Oh,
is on
okay,
the interstate?
okay, the new road that circles around
It
from
connects
Morrison Heights to Walmart.
to Walmart.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
So one of the principals had started that off, got the alignment, and maybe the profile set, and I did a lot of I sort of picked that project up from that point and carried it through the rest of the design phase and produced the plans and contract documents for that. I left before that project was bid and before construction started, but after the design was complete.
Do y'all know much about Clinton?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's a real nice new semi cut through that's really well put together in my opinion, and they really built it really quickly. So okay. What about the biggest project you've ever been a part of?
Well, I'll say this: since I've come to my present firm, a lot of the projects are bigger than the projects I used to work on. Prior to coming here, we did mostly city and county municipal size projects, and the work we do now is with MDOT, so it's interstates and
Interstate,
highway
right? Okay.
projects.
Okay.
But one of the bigger projects, or maybe more complex projects that I've worked on in the past, when I was the previous firm, one of my supervisors was the county engineer for Jefferson County
Okay.
down in southwest Mississippi, and so there was a project. It was really two county roads that came together at an intersection, a T intersection, and there was a drainage creek, I guess, that sort of went under both roads right there close to the intersection, within 150 or 200 feet of the T intersection. And there were bridges that were built, I think in the 80s, that spanned those
The waterway.
drainage creek. But the interesting thing was the flow line of this creek had dropped significantly, like 10 feet or so, since the 80s, since those bridges were built. And so as the flow line dropped, the banks got farther and farther apart. The top of the banks got farther and farther apart, and they ended up getting wider than the bridge. So that was sort of an emergency situation where you didn't have enough bridge to cross the creek,
Wow.
and the road, as you approach the bridge, was starting to fall under the bridge. So that was one of the projects that I was tasked with, and we ended up replacing the bridges. It's, as far as I know, it's still under construction now. It was another one that was designed before I changed jobs, and I think it's under construction now, if not complete yet. But we replaced the bridges with box culverts,
Okay, yeah.
and that was an attempt to keep the stream, the flow line of the stream from dropping even further. And that involved a lot of fill dirt, long box culverts, and a lot of dirt to fill back in where the
Yeah.
bridge had been.
I have a family friend that he got the contract for the fill dirt for the new overpass in Clinton at Clinton River Road
Mhm.
when they redid that, and so he's now got a real nice pond on his property, because for weeks, it 20 or 30 dump trucks just running circles, just dirt from the hole and then out to the interstate.
Yeah. You end up with a nice pond when you're done selling dirt.
Okay, so with what do you see in this area that could be the greater Jackson area? Because I'm sure you have to know a lot about it. You see future challenges in the transportation field.
Well, one of the future challenges, I think, that's not just the Jackson area, but it's certainly statewide and nationwide to some extent, is a lack of funding. We spent a lot of money in the 60s and 70s building this tremendous interstate system and highway system, and we've got a lot of city bridges and county bridges and roadways that were built, and they were great when they were built, but they've deteriorated over time. And it's not a big ticket item for a politician to say, we're going to fund maintenance. That doesn't
get people
get the
elected.
votes a lot of times. So I think our elected leaders are always slow to fund the necessary maintenance to upkeep, to keep these roads in good condition. I mean, you can pick anywhere you want to drive, and you can probably find a crumbling road that needs rehab, or at the very least an overlay, a mill and an overlay. But it's hard finding the money to do that. And I think construction costs have increased significantly faster than county, city, and state budgets have increased. So the inflation cost of construction materials is outpacing our ability to maintain
Fund projects to keep things up.
projects.
There's a bridge just on the street from my parents' house here in Clinton that's just got rated as like a 6,000-pound bridge because it's so old. And
Which one is that?
it's on Midway Road. Go to the end of McRaven, turn left on Midway, and it's down a couple of miles before you get to 18.
Yeah.
Funding. Funding. I would have never thought about that. Well, that answers all the questions.
I don't know if this may not have been on your radar screen, but the Mississippi Economic Council, I think, had been doing a 2-year study, and they were studying how to fund transportation maintenance within the state, and they just released their report in December. They are advocating for, I guess, a combination of ways. I don't think they advocated any one specific way for increasing funding, but they mentioned, we can increase gas tax, or we can increase user fees with license tag fees and that kind of stuff. And they listed a couple of different ways, but the fact of the matter is, and nobody wants to hear this, but especially me, I like low taxes as much as anybody. But if we don't find a way to pay for transportation maintenance, we are going to end up losing the system that we have. that's a hard truth that everybody in the state is going to need to swallow. I was listening to talk radio not too long ago, and one of the state senators or representatives or somebody said, you know, you can build a really nice house, but if you don't take care of the roof, you're going to lose your house.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same way with our transportation system. Our transportation system is what sells economic development projects, you know. There was an announcement today of this huge tire plant. I don't guess it was an announcement, it was an article in the newspaper that I guess the official announcement will come soon, but talking about this huge tire plant coming just outside of Clinton. And what sells a place like that is interstate access with I-20 right there, rail access with the railroad right there. And you know, if you don't fund your interstates and your state highways and your county roads, nobody's going to want to come and provide jobs.
Yeah.
That to me is one of the critical.
Is that going to be in Clinton or just Hines County?
It's going to be, I think, west of the Norrell Road exit.
Okay. I don't know how far Clinton goes that way.
Well, the next exit past Spring Ridge.
Yeah.
I mean, past Clinton Raymond is the Norrell Road
Yeah.
exit.
There's a lot of land out there to be developed.
When is your video due?
Well, I don't know how we're gonna. The presentation is Tuesday, and so I don't know if I'm just gonna cut 10 minutes of this together and do a video to let them watch, or if I'll just take snippets to answer the questions and let it run through the time.
Okay. You think we got 10 minutes worth?
Oh, I think we got more than enough time. Because I mean, I don't need a whole 10-minute video. I need like an 8-minute video with a minute of introduction and a minute of conclusion. You know, max.
Okay.
Sounds good to
So
me. We still have to write a report too, right?
I don't know. Does it have to be like? He said all he really wanted was a PowerPoint, right? A presentation. The professors out there aren't the best. I think y'all could both agree.
Yes.
Some of them. Some.
I don't even. Who's the steel structure guy? What's his name?
Wei
Wei Zhang?
He's still.
It's.
Stop the video before you
It'll
keep commenting.
It's fine. I'll delete this part. But he gives a little bit of theory, but never actually puts it into any application we can understand.
That's a hard thing sometimes. You can get. I can remember a lot of my classes went so far into theory, I just could not connect it to how am I going to use this once I get into the workforce. You know, all the calculus and everything. Nobody ever sat down and said, "Here's where you're going to use your calculus."
Calculus is not as bad compared to, Wei Zhang. He's out there with it.
Really?
Like, he doesn't really explain anything, and then he gives us a project and expects everything. It's quite terrible.
First day of class, he passes out a mini project due in early March, and just says, "Yeah, you need to sign up for this website because they get free student access and download this information and do this project from this information because it's not in the book. It's not in the $200 book I made you buy."
What kind of project was it?
I just assume it's a steel structure project, design project of some type.
We have to use like some of the theories that we had just in regular structures class. So like just find the dead load, live load. Now he just added like the snow load, wind load, earthquake, stuff like that.
Okay.
And then we have to design something. I don't remember exactly what we have to design, but hopefully